Hello everyone. Today I want to introduce a program that I've been using to keep track of my work hours. I've written it myself. It's called worktock. And as you can see, I have been clocked in for video since this much time, and that is for 5 minutes so far since I turned on the computer and set up the video program. If I want to clock out, I just type worktock and -O, and now I have clocked out. But don't worry, I am really still clocked in. If I want to change or if I've made a mistake, the entire thing is stored in a single text file. So it is, I've got it in business work time MS29. And so we can look at this, and the program has been basically running since January when I started tracking my hours properly. And here's the date. On the 10th of January, I started doing some work for Root Connect, clock in and clock out times, and then I started work on worktock at 11:34. Now the program didn't exist at this point, so I actually had to enter this data manually, and I was only writing the program for counting the hours after I've added the data. So here the minus says it's an out time. And because this doesn't have an out time, the out time is assumed to be the entry time for the other work I had to do. And so it just keeps track of the date with the year of 2019. And throughout this file, that's basically all it is. It's got a date and then what I'm clocking in and out of. And the file format, because I was writing it by hand, was a bit rough at this point. But as I improved the program, I found I really wanted to be able to do it command line. Now the main goals for this program when I was writing it was to be able to make it easy for my wife and I, both of us who work on computers, me who loves programming and works in Linux, my wife who is more of an artist and is not such a big fan of doing stuff on command line, could track our hours and do it without having to use a phone app or anything awkward, and still get useful data about our work time out of this. So if I quit this file, I'll show you some of the kinds of things I can get from the file. So if I type worktock -odp. Oh, sorry. That's because I'm trying to clock out, but I'm actually currently clocked out, right? So let's just get a printout of everything I've done today. So I clocked in for video and I clocked out at 10:16. So I've only done 5 minutes today, but I can clock back in again, etc. So let's look at everything I've done so far for this month. Worktock -month, and the month is September, so I'm just going to put 9. And this is all of the work I have done this month for all the different projects. There you go. You have a rough idea of how I spend some of my time. But you can also bring it down to check for a specific kind of work. So if I filter it on I can filter it on week. I can filter on everything I've done this week. Oop. And that's by week 37. So everything I've done since Monday is there. And so that's basically useful information in not quite JSON format. It's pretty close to JSON. I think I need to fix that at some point so that it does come out in JSON for the times. But we'll get to that later, I'm sure. So reasonable report of all of the stuff I've done. And if I put a P on that, I get a printout of absolutely everything that happened. So, and when you can filter it by job as well. So -week. And if I put --job s and then an IA, then it'll find everything that begins with IA in that list, which is useful because I have a lot of projects, for example, which are gen. So if I get rid of the week filter, that's job s for job start, and if I write gen, then I've got 3 different things that all start with general, so that's how much time I've put into general projects. So hopefully this gives you a rough idea of kind of how you can use it. and how useful it might be for you. There's plenty more in the help, so if we open up the help options, so we can clock in and out at given times, files, we can filter by jobs and names and anything that came by. Tags, I found I don't use them very much. I put them in, but you can use them if you wish. And I've got a since and until, so that we can just get everything between a certain specific set of dates. And because it is just a file, a text file, if we do find we've done something we didn't want to, we can just delete that entry. And now if I look at worktock, I have been clocked in for video for 11 minutes now. So we started at 6 minutes, so I guess this video is getting a little bit longer than I was hoping for. So the program is worktock. If you want to install it, you will need to install Rust, and then you could via cargo, and then it's just cargo install worktock. I can't go into all of the things you need to do apart from that, but you will need to set the file you're working with. So that is stored in your home directory .config worktock, and then it's just init.toml, and it just has to look like a standard toml file. It's under the config section. Your file is, the wiggly braces are just something that I've added to how you handle them, which allows you to give environment variables inside your path names. I always feel like you need to have a close point on your variables, so a dollar something doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And that's it. I probably should vaguely introduce, if you're a Rusty programmer and you like working with Rust, the libraries that I've used are pest for handling the grammar, and I use clap for handling the command line argument passing, CLAP. But I did add my own library which kind of combines that with config files, which is clap conf, which I guess let's take a look at now. And here we can go to clap conf, and there's plenty of documentation about it that kind of shows what you can use it for. But the primary focus is you already write, you use clap app to do all of the basic work, let matches equal clap app, and then you give all of the values for clap app. And then you write config with toml, and this will bring it together in such a way you can get environment variables and config file variables, as well as command line arguments. And so what you do is you write config.grab, and then once you've done the grab, that sets the builder for what it's grabbing. And if you put arg.filename, and if you have a command line argument with file name given, which works from how clap handles them, then it will use that. But if you haven't, it will go to the next thing that you provide. In this case, that's config, and it's input.filename, for example. And then if not, it will check the environment variable to see if those exist. But you can choose the order. If you put env before conf, then it will choose. And then I've got def for default, and it will choose the default file. But you can also make that require or ask if that's not provided. Entirely up to you how you handle that. So hopefully that's a bit of interest on the library side as well. And a moment longer on the file format. So yeah, you put the date. Everything is comma or new line separated. So here's a clock. So we are clocking into root connect 9:35, and then we're clocking out from root connect, and it always assumes the most recent thing, right? So this assumes the date is the 10th of January because the most recent date it's been given is the 10th of January. But if it came across a date since then it moves on to using that date. And the same is true for a clock in and a clock out. Like you can have all of these clock ins and clock outs here are all for the same project. I spent a lot of time working on worktock over this little while. So all of my clock ins and clock outs were done using those dates given. So it says worktock, and so this is a worktock clock in, a worktock clock out. It's just the most recent thing. If you look nearer the end of the file, you'll see that I'm actually slightly surprised that it didn't used to clock write the name if the name had been the most recent clock in. So here it's written defenestrate, even though that's been clocked in more recently. So I might need to tweak the program a bit to fix that, because it shouldn't have defenestrate here. It should have gone, oh no, we've already done that recently. But I did make a recent update, so, and I was fixing a different problem, but I can see why that probably changed some things. So no worries, I will consider working on that soon. But the file format doesn't care, like the reader just comma separated and new line separated, so it doesn't really matter. So that's it. That's worktock. Hopefully you find it vaguely interesting. Hopefully you'll consider downloading and trying and using it. You'll find it helpful for keeping track of lots of different work projects that you're trying to work on. Other than that, I'll see you again next time I get around to uploading a video. Bye for now.